Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So I do want to start off by quickly saying that for those that have been wondering where my webcam is, I usually include it. It has been broken for past few days, so that's the issue with that. But regardless, I probably will be getting that fixed soon. We have a big snowstorm on our hands, and the first wave already occurred across the upper plains, and we saw how that overproduced and the potential of this system. And right now we are seeing snow develop pretty heavily across Kentucky, Tennessee, West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania. And if it hasn't, it will soon. So there's a lot to talk about. Look at all these warnings and watches. We have severe weather, which I will try going over briefly. I have been forgetting in the past videos. The past few days have been a bit chaotic, but in a good way. So before we do, if you guys enjoy this channel, check out my other videos. Consider subscribing. That's how you could support. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. And if you are a returning viewer or you just enjoy this video, consider liking the videos. That helps out a lot. Alright, so let's begin by looking a quick glance at the severe weather. Notice eastern North Carolina right now. By the way, I will be going over the winter side in just a few minutes. There is a tornado warning or two of them, and probably by the time this video is uploaded, these may be expired. But the point is that this may be the continuing trend throughout this kind of location, these scattered thunderstorms, potential for some severe weather. Overly, it's not too impressive, but it being December, late December, it is rather an impressive event, and a lot of people may get caught off guard. Notice that these bands right here aren't terribly organized, but again, in order to get a tornado, you don't really want you don't really need a intense organized line of that sort. It's oftentimes where people get caught off guard by these systems, and obviously the tornado warning is the worst to be under, right? But notice there are some severe thunderstorm warnings, which probably are a much more common occurrence across the Carolinas today, and South Carolina and into portions of Georgia. So I want to go back because I want to look back at the map and notice that this is continuing. We do have some severe thunderstorm warnings across northeastern Florida and southeastern Georgia, right? But it seems to be pushing off the coast for the most part, so that's the good news. I do apologize if there may be some rumbling or anything upstairs. We are preparing for Christmas Eve, so maybe a bit of disturbances, but notice that there are high wind warnings or watches or advisories, all of that good stuff. Obviously not, but it's gonna be windy, and that's honestly pretty bad news, right? The coastal flooding may be an issue, though I think the way this system is organized is, no, yeah, there will be some pretty strong winds onshore, so some coastal flooding is going to be concerned. Notice we do have lots of flash flood warnings, flash flood watches, just flood watches, and these are mainly to do with the rain that is falling. And while it's a very heavy rain event, normally it wouldn't spawn such great flood watches if it weren't for the many inches of snow a lot of these locations have. I mean, for example, Binghamton has, they got 48 inches of snow in some locations, an absolute monster, right? And notice that significant flooding is probably going to be occurring as they are expected. They are seeing heavy rain right now, and they will expect to see that through most of the day today and tomorrow. So that is just very bad news, and honestly, they may be the most crippled by this system, not even the snowy side. I do want to point out there are some wind chill watches or warnings, or advisories. I think those may be actually warnings. Okay, advisories. So obviously it is cold, not historic cold, but it is very chilly compared to what we've been seeing most of this year. There is a bit of lake effect off Superior, off of Michigan, up to a foot of snow in the warning areas, more 3 to 5 inches amounts across the advisory areas. Now here is obviously where that system is just exploding across, in terms of the snowy side, across the Ohio Valley, Kentucky, Tennessee. In general, it did as predicted. Obviously, kind of starting to shift out more, developing that low pressure across the south for some reason. There we go. It wasn't loading in there, but notice that we are even seeing some snow across extreme northern Georgia and into portions of Alabama. There's a snow squall right there, so probably quite a few folks seeing that snow. Again, not a white Christmas, right, but some snow showers. We do have some scattered snow showers on the backside across Indiana, Kentucky, and if I were just to play this backwards, notice that the snow and these showers have really blossomed in the last couple of hours. It is now 3:05 Central Standard Time when I'm recording this, so 4:05 across these areas, And this radar is showing at 12:35 this Eastern time. So the past 4 hours or 3 hours, 4 hours, notice that we start seeing the snow very rapidly develop, right? It almost looked like there was no sign of snow, nothing, right? We started seeing that develop. We started seeing the shower activity develop. While it won't be heavy, it may provide some problems, as the winds will be pretty strong and whipping that snow around. Hopefully not too much of a problem, but notice that even into Alabama there was briefly some snow. And if you were just to play this into motion, this snow really organized itself and is in the process of doing so, moving towards Cleveland. It is now across Columbus into western or eastern portions of the city. Cincinnati may or may not get more of that. It's tough to say how this behaves. Into Detroit, and obviously the lake effect is going. And notice Detroit right now is not snowing, but it most likely will continue or begin at around I would say 7 to 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the evening is your best time frame for eastern Michigan to see that snow. Western Michigan will see snow showers from the lake effect up to a foot across southeastern Lake Michigan. But, well, that just reloaded. I do apologize. I think it does that automatically if there's an next frame available. Let me get rid of these watches because that just makes everything a blur. And obviously this will continue making progress. So Erie right now is mixing. That will transition over to snow. Same with Pittsburgh. Buffalo most likely getting in on some of that snow. Though again, that rain snow line will be very, very hard to predict exactly because it all determines or impacted by that storm track. So notice this is the HER model, right? A relatively good high-res model. The 18Z model just came out. The model run of this model goes out to 48 hours, and notice that it shows the snow generally does a very good job. Notice it shows it developing pretty rapidly, even into maybe portions of Atlanta, seeing some sleet, snow. We do see that showery activity across Kentucky, eastern Kentucky. Sorry, I keep messing up. Western Kentucky, western Tennessee, southern Indiana, seeing that snow shower activity. Nothing too heavy, but you can see it sticks around for a while, so that may be something you'll have to watch for. But notice the rain, right? The severe weather continues to push towards the Outer Banks into portions of Maryland, maybe Delaware. The heavy rain is all along the eastern seaboard. A bit further inland, but it does eventually reach the coastal areas. Notice Ohio, Columbus, Cincinnati on that border between a bit of snow versus no snow. And at this point, that's impossible to forecast whether or not you will get that snow. I would say there's a good chance you may see some snow falling, though 1 inch seems a bit far-fetched. The further east you go, probably the better chance of that. But notice, right, Tennessee, Kentucky, this is already more well-developed than this model is showing. And you can see right there, 3 o'clock p.m. It's a bit underdeveloped on the radar. It's a bit more impressive across these areas, but relatively a good forecast from the HER model, a good forecast run. Notice, again, continues sliding this off to the east, but rather slowly, and this snow will be falling very heavily. So, these locations could pick up a quick 1 to even 4 or 5 inches. The further east, when you border West Virginia and Virginia, Kentucky areas, and Tennessee could see maybe up to 6-7 inches plus. Notice Ohio, Cleveland, Erie, eventually maybe getting into portions like Buffalo. But again, Buffalo is one of these cities that sits right there, and the rain snow line pretty much is on it. Hopefully they do get some snow, as I know I do have some snow lovers from there watching this. But look at that, snow shower activity pushing well into 9-10 o'clock. And from what we've been seeing is that the snow shower activity has been very strong and very potent. So that most likely will continue as the dynamics of the storm won't really change behind it. So it will be, cold, blustery conditions. And if the HER model is saying that will happen, usually the HER model likes to underperform these activities. And in this case, I think it's, this is doing good judgment. So a possible, even dusting to an inch just alone from these snow showers. But look at that. This system at around 9, 10, 11, 12 a.m. shifts right into Toronto. More Canadian cities. Detroit, again, seeing a brief window of 1 to 5 hours of maybe 1 to 2 inches of snow. Obviously, the further east towards Canada, the better. Cleveland, Columbus, right? Indiana, not really seeing snow out of this, just the lake effect, obviously. West Virginia, seeing a very good system out of this in terms of snow. Virginia, maybe a bit of snow on the backside of that. Coastal areas, rather not. North Carolina, maybe the mountains, right, but not the coastal areas with this system. And notice that this starts shifting off into portions of Canada, right? This is at around 3 a.m. Christmas Day, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. The lake effect going strong, winding down across Ohio, Pennsylvania. By the way, Pittsburgh is one of those cities that will be, again, going from that rain to snow. Depending on how early they do that is how much snow they will be getting. Notice, in this scenario, probably a good, I would say, 1 to 3 inches for you guys. And into portions of New York, you can see that her model really doesn't show a lot of mixing in, right? It has that very heavy rain going on. Maybe a bit if this band of snow does overperform a bit and if some of that moist air pushes into that cold air. But again, it looks as if the lakes fire up after that, and if you are in western New York State, you could get a bit of that snow shower activity towards later Christmas Day. And this then pushes into Maine. Notice the rain continuing with very heavy rates and possibly a transition over Maine. You can see right there, a brief transition across Maine. So that will be interesting to see if that happens. Maybe a bit of shower activity across New York City and Long Island, but this is now into the day after Christmas and doesn't seem like much. However, as you can see, we have another system making its way, so more activities on its way. Don't worry, guys. So let's take a look at these total snowfall accumulations, as they obviously will be heavy. Let's take a look at this. So notice Kentucky, Tennessee, from that shower activity, maybe getting an inch or two. Honestly, I would not be surprised based on how robust they are already at this time. Lake effect, I would say up to a foot across isolated amounts across Michigan. Obviously along the coastal areas, the heaviest amounts. Same thing with Superior, but the further east you go into the UP, the better amounts of snow. Obviously more confined to the coastal areas. And then Ohio, Virginia, widespread amounts over 5-6 inches. Kentucky, Ohio, I think I said that already. Virginia, again, Carolinas, really just North Carolina, the mountainous areas, and into Tennessee, the Appalachians, right? Smoky Mountains, up into Pittsburgh, 3 to 4 inches, and by Erie, well over a foot of snow as that lake effect kicks in. Toronto, maybe 6-7 inches, and into further portions of Canada. Now, the larger cities, Ottawa, Montreal, Quebec, not really seeing significant snow out of this. Maybe a dusting or a shower activity like we saw across the Kentucky-Tennessee area, though probably not as strong. Now, let's take a look at the National Weather Service. Well, actually, let me just show you other models. This is the NAM 12KM, a high-res model. Again, relatively similar story, right? Doesn't show that shower activity, but it's not high-res enough to pick up on that. Does not show a lot of lake effect, but again, lake effect is hard to pick up by models. The NAM doesn't usually do a good job. But with the system snow, a very almost exact print as to what the HER model is showing. The NAM 3KM, I do apologize about that. I don't know if you heard that noise. But the NAM 3KM, notice it shows, again, very similar amounts of snow. Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, mimicking very similar forecasts. So that's good news. Consistency is what we like. Notice right there again, consistent amounts of snow. Showing some snow into Detroit. I forgot to look at it. Yeah, most models do show around an inch or two across Detroit. So White Christmas is possible for you, if not likely. For the metropolitan of Detroit. The further east you go, it quickly drops off. And the HRDPS, that's the last model I'm going to look at. Notice, it definitely includes the heaviest amounts, but whether or not that actually happens is a bit unknown. If we were to take a look at the snowfall amounts, there already is one snowfall report from Kentucky, an inch of snow in around, I would say, an hour, 2 hours. Yeah, you can see an inch Jackson. I mean, that snow is falling heavily and will continue to do so. So if Jackson is already at 1 inch, they are, still in the midst of this. So I would say a confident, 1 to 3 inches is possible, if not quite a bit more. Notice some shower activity moving into Mississippi, so that may be a trend we'll have to watch for, developing showers, snow showers obviously, into the northern Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi area. National Weather Service, let's take a look at some of these offices. For example, Pittsburgh, they are under a winter weather advisory, not a storm warning. But let's take a look at their weather story and see what snowfall they're predicting. Again, pretty heavy to the north. I did see it somewhere. Just disappeared. So there we go. Notice they have Pittsburgh 4 to 6 right there. Heavier amounts obviously towards the west, but 4 to 6 is still a rather potent event that will cause some headaches. Notice they have all of these special weather statements here, and that is for a reason. That is because of all the shower activity. And notice it includes a good chunk of Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. Let's just take a look at the Nashville office of Tennessee. Notice they have slight chance of snow, but again, based on the shower activity we're already seeing across southern Illinois and eastern Indiana, that seems to be more than just a slight chance. Let's see if we click right there, if we could see. Yeah, they're reporting light snow, and they only had a chance of flurries because these things are very hard to predict. But once they start showing up on a radar, we could assume that they will be prevalent. But again, they shouldn't be that big of a deal. I apologize, I had to move away for a second as there's a spider crawling on my desk here. But I will finish the forecast regardless. Beautiful little guy. Oh god, it's coming closer. Alright, so I do apologize about that. But let's take a look at, for example, the Cleveland office, as that's where they could be seeing very heavy amounts of snow, again, especially by the lakes. So this is what they're showing today and tonight, and then lake effect snow. So you add these two together. So 9 plus 8 is 17 inches. I wouldn't say that's out of the question, especially if the National Weather Service is saying that they tend to go conservative, and some models are showing even more. Detroit, 1 to 2 inches, as I mentioned, and again, that would be probably enough to give you a white Christmas. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Consider liking the video. Consider subscribing to the channel. You know, I could talk about the system for 3 hours and still not cover all of it, but unfortunately, I can't. As these videos, I'd rather like to keep them shorter, but I have to get rid of the spider or deal with him somehow and upload this video. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all guys on the next episode. See ya.